I believe the New York Jets are going to draft a quarterback relatively high in the 2026 NFL draft with one of their first four picks 2, 16, 33, 44, maybe some sliding around, but within the top 50 of the NFL draft. I think the Jets are going to come away with a quarterback. And I believe that the best or maybe least bad investment, depending on how you might view this quarterback class, would be to take Ty Simpson, quarterback Alabama, with the 16th overall pick. Now, I've said many things that are skeptical or maybe negative about Ty Simpson. If you've been following the channel for a while, it's just that I believe that, like Dante Moore, who I didn't want the Jets to take at number two either, he has a risky draft profile, right? Plays a little small, older, 1 year starter. So a bit of an outlier, right? Not the prototypical success story in terms of if you look around quarterbacks who are currently winning and as currently constructed are the Jets, the team that's going to be able to develop an outlier. So I get that, said all that, been there, done that. But I'm going to put in the description and I'll do it. Maybe I'll even do it in a little bit. So if you're watching live, you could check it out. But definitely if you're watching in the replay, I'm going to put in the description a tweet that I posted that was his film for the from the September game against Georgia. Because if I play it here, YouTube will copyright me. And I think that if you check out that film, it's like 10 minutes, every single throw and rushing attempt from that game. I think that game was a pretty good barometer of why Ty Simpson was getting a lot of first round buzz, even some QB1 discussion in the early part of the college football season. You're going to watch within the first 45 seconds of that film, the first play of the game. He gets everybody set at the line of scrimmage, gets a look he likes, rips a hole shot 25 yards, clangs off a receiver's hands. Second play, he scrambles, picks up 12 yards for a first down. Third play action, steps up, throws from his own 30-yard line to Georgia's 15-yard line, 55 yards on the fly, a dime. That's dropped, a would-be touchdown. Now, this is a game that he ends up with, 270 yards and 2 touchdowns, no picks, got away with a turnover-worthy throw. Almost 8 yards per attempt in a win. And right off rip, the first 2 throws, nearly 100 yards and a touchdown, are wiped off the field due to drops. So I would check that game out because if you're somebody who's like, I know people go into catatonic shock when they hear the name Ty Simpson, and you don't like to have to make excuses, right? Like, oh, he did have a run game, he had drops, and you don't want to have to be talked into for a high quarterback pick. And I get that. But I think if you watch that game film, you'll see, okay, some of these drops are egregious, or like the 50-50 balls that Mendoza's guys always come down with. Really bad wide receiver play. And you'll see that there's some stuff to his game. You'll see that, there could be maybe a little bit of a Brock Purdy or Bo Nix level skill set. No one's saying he's ever going to be Josh Allen. But you'll see some traits that make you go, if you can coach this kid up, you might have something. In that Georgia game, he makes anticipatory throws. He commands the line of scrimmage. He whips through his reads. You could argue he's definitely the best processor besides Mendoza, maybe even on the same par as Mendoza in terms of processing, speed, athletic enough, the better athlete of Mendoza and when Moore was in the class. Arm, good enough. Plays a little small. He's marginally bigger than Garrett Nussmeier. Plays a little small to me. But there's some stuff to work with Ty Simpson, for sure. There's some NFL skill sets there. Now, why do I think the Jets are going to draft a quarterback with one of their first 4 picks? Well, they need a quarterback. And typically when regimes start, they don't wait too long to take a shot at the QB position at some point, right? Because you're in the NFL, your clock is ticking. You get typically like a guaranteed 2 years almost, unless you're historically horrendous. Maybe 3 if you could show some improvement, but really about 3 years is your time frame. So you got to get a quarterback in there. There's that. So obviously, there's just a sense of urgency to try and come away with some solution at the position. And furthermore, they bring in Frank Reich. Now, I'm not in the meeting rooms at One Jet Drive, so maybe Frank Reich was hired to get the most out of Marcus Mariota. Maybe. I don't know. But if I had to wager, you're switching from a young offensive coordinator who showed a little bit of promise. I still think we overrated Tanner Engstrand, just like we're overrating Darren Muji because everybody hates Aaron Glenn so much. By contrast, the other people around the organization get like a shine. Tanner Engstrand couldn't figure out how to pick up a 3rd and 2 if his life depended on it, and his favorite play on 3rd and 6 was like a halfback draw. So I'm not really losing sleep about it. Darren Muji picked up the phone and said, "Yeah, I'll give you 2 first-round picks for a defensive back on a tanking team." Sure. Neither one of them are put in the Hall of Fame yet in my book. But you make that move to go get a veteran play caller who has played and coached the position of quarterback at the NFL level. Do you do that if you're just going to do a Mariota year? We're going to sign Mariota and Jameis Winston and Bridgie McVeteran, and then we're just going to draft Talon Green so he can be cut in 2 years, but we could say we did it. Maybe they'll do that, but I think that they're going to make a significant investment at the quarterback position this year via the draft, and I consider a significant investment being somewhere picks 2 to 44. I hope it's not pick 2. I'll talk about that in a minute and why there is a big difference between 2 and 16. But I think that there's been a common point I see is either Nussmeier or Chambliss at like pick 44, right? Because you want to get those first three picks, fill positions of needs, immediate starters, immediate impact on a roster that has a million holes. So it's framed as more of a calculated compromise to do the Nussmeier Chambliss thing at 44. Number one, guys, Chambliss is suing to go back to school. His people are telling him he's a day 3 pick. Let's be like, come on. If he thought he was going to go in the top 50, do you think he would be litigating to return to school for his age 24 season? He has people in the know in his camp, and they said, buddy, get ready to learn round 4. That's why he's going back. There's that. But with Chambliss, man, dude, he's so fun. He's so fun. He's so electric. He's a complete badass. Love the player. I'm going to root for him wherever he goes. If another team wants to take him in the 2nd round or even late 1st round, and they're right about him, good for them and good for him. Honestly, you know, my favorite phrase come draft time is let somebody else be right about that player, because you're not saying he's trash. You're just saying the risk is probably not worth it. Because with Chambliss, live arm, great athlete, from all accounts, you know, leadership, all that good stuff, great. But he's probably going to measure in. I don't even know if he's 5'11. He might be like 5'10 and a quarter. And he doesn't target the middle of the field. When he did, he had passes batted down at like a historically high rate. Because he didn't really have a lot of arc on his ball. Guys like Russell Wilson, Drew Brees just had that natural arc on the ball. He kind of throws line drives. So layering intermediate middle throws, that is a standard prerequisite to start in the NFL. Don't know if he could do that. That's too much of a limiting factor. Add on top of it, he is also a 1-year starter who's older, but that's really it with Chambliss. Like, it's a whole portion of quarterbacking that may be almost off limits to him. You cannot live that way. Too risky for a 2nd round pick. So I think Chambliss might end up being like a Taylor Heineke. Remember that Taylor Heineke year and where they went to the playoffs in Washington, like a scrappy, bridgy kind of player who can play in the league for a long time. Nothing wrong with that. He'll make more money than all of us doing it. It's all good. Garrett Nussmeier, I think you could be, if you were looking for the Tyler Shuck of this class, I think there's a reasonable argument to be made that it could be Garrett Nussmeier because he's played a lot of football and he's like Ty Simpson. he demonstrates the ability to do some professional level stuff. He's not some complete raw um, ball of clay prospect that would need 2 years on the bench before you could even put him on the field. Like you could probably put Nuss out there as a rookie, and he'd be able to hang a little bit. But Nussmeier is even smaller than Simpson. Nussmeier is under 6'1". He's just over 200 pounds. Um, he has minuscule hands, and athletically and arm talent wise, meh. So there's not really anybody starting at quarterback in the NFL who has Nussmeier's combination of like frame, arm, athleticism. Because like Bryce Young is the smallest. Bryce Young has more juice in his arm than Nuss, and Bryce Young was more athletic. Like Bryce Young is a prospect at Alabama, not even close. Was way better than us. So to me, Garrett Nussmeier is probably Gardner Minshew, and Trinidad Chambliss is probably Taylor Heineke, and that's fine. And if one of them happened to make it to pick the fourth round pick, I would take him. Even if I took Ty Simpson around one, I'd come back and I do the RG3 Kirk Cousins with those guys. Love them in round 4. If one of them were to make it, pick 44, they're just not. Those guys are not. They're not good enough prospects to be taken that high. So I actually think that is the worst resource allocation that this team can make from a draft perspective this upcoming year, is to do the Nuss Bus or the Chambliss in the second round. And like with Simpson, I think the conversation will be interesting at pick 16. He might not be there. The Browns could take him. The Rams could take him. The Steelers could trade up, a spot in front of the Jets. Who knows? But I think it's important to note the trade-off that you're making. Of course, it's the Keldrick Falk rule, right? The first round talent in this draft kind of tapers off at like pick 11. So this isn't Zach Wilson where you're passing on not only a haul of a trade down, and also getting like an elite blue chip talent on top of it you could have had, right? Taking Ty Simpson at 16 is just saying, we're going to take you over Keldrick Falk. We're going to take you over Peter Woods, right? We're going to take you over Denzel Boston. So we're going to take you over Edge Set McIntyre and Run Stuff McGee and wide receiver 2 Johnson. And furthermore, to me, the gap between the overall talent at pick 2 and pick 16, that drop off is bigger than the drop off from 16 to 33 and even 44. So that's where the big difference is, because to me, just take Chambliss at pick 33. The difference between pick 16 and 33 in terms of the position players you're going to get, you're going to get Mesidor at 13 or TJ Parker at 33, is not that big of a difference. It's not that big of a difference to pass up on what I believe to be a significantly better quarterback prospect if you're going to go the quarterback route. Believe it should be Ty Simpson at 16 if they're going to do it. Now, you may say, well, if you think he might get taken before 16 and you're willing to take him in the first round, it is quarterback, why don't you just take him at 2? I would really prefer the Jets not to take Ty Simpson at 2. It's the same reason I didn't want them to take Dante Moore at number 2. For what it's worth to you, I don't know. I did think that Ty Simpson's film from this year was better than Dante Moore's. Dante Moore is just 3 years younger, and he has, like aura or whatever. So kids tweet, respect my demon about Dante Moore. But Ty Simpson is like trash because he doesn't have a good PR team. Ty Simpson has horrible PR. But the idea that there was this massive gap in like the talent level or the product or what they put on film this year of Ty Simpson and Dante Moore was completely fabricated. One guy had better PR team because the Zoomers on Twitter like Dezora. But I don't want them to take Ty Simpson at 2 either, because, and I think there's a big difference between 2 and 16. Well, if you like him at 16, just take him at 2. Well, a couple of things. Number one, again, then you are making a trade off of the other stuff you could get that is way better talent. Like if we're talking about passing on Arvell Reese, David Bailey, Ruben Bain, even if you want to go receiver high like Carnell Tate, or just say we're going to take Sonny Styles because we think he's going to be like a Luke Kuechly level difference maker on our defense. Those are blue chip players who should be perennial all pros. You're going to get your pick of the first position player in the whole draft class. Whereas it drops off to like basically second round talent by pick 16. So the opportunity cost is much different in that way. But wait, there's more. The opportunity cost would be compounded by the fact that the number 2 overall pick is a $53 million investment. So you could say, oh, if you take Ty Simpson at 2, if he sucks, the whole team is going to suck. Everyone's going to get fired. And the new GM could just take another quarterback next year. Now, we've seen that with Jimmy Clausen to Cam Newton. We've seen that with Josh Rosen to Kyler Murray. Number one, it's still not ideal because you have a bunch of dead cap for a player not on your team anymore if you move off of them. And now David Bailey is getting in 12 sacks a year, whatever, somewhere else. You don't have that. So that sucks. But additionally, Woody Johnson did not want to pay like Wink Martindale defensive coordinator money. Do you think Woody Johnson is going to allow a $53 million investment to only get 1 year? He's probably going to hire the next coach and say, go fix, Ty Simpson if it doesn't work out. Whereas at pick 16, it's like 18 million, still a big deal, but it's much more pragmatic to do a quick pivot off of a QB after 1 year at 16 with the amount of money that they're making. Then it will be at number 2. Remember the last number 2 pick that didn't work out. Woody Johnson fired the OC that's now become a head coach because he was just so emotional that they drafted a bust. Someone had to pay. And then he even said in year 3 that Zach Wilson had to stay on the team as a backup. So I don't think Woody Johnson is going quietly into the night after 1 year of a $53 million investment at the number 2 overall pick. So I do not want them to do it at 2. I don't think Ty Simpson will be there at 33, so that's kind of not realistic. And I like Ty Simpson at 16 better than Nuss or Chambliss in the second round. So to me, this comes down to you either take Ty Simpson at 16 or you wait and you're taking a dart throw on day 3. That's how I see this draft class. Because Mendoza's a Raider. That's it. So I think the least bad option, if they're going to make a high quarterback investment, the pick that they should do it with is 16. And if somebody takes Ty Simpson before that, then okay, you go on with your life. Only so much you could do. But Ty Simpson at pick 16 should be the investment they make if they are to make one. If they don't want to draft one at all, that's cool too. If you don't think the guy is the guy, what can you do? Because if you take a guy who's not the guy, you still don't have a guy. Right? But I'm telling you, if you are a complete, like you hear the name Ty Simpson and you just want to die, go check out. If you follow me on Twitter, just go. I posted it, whatever, yesterday. Go check out that 10 minutes of him cutting up Georgia, and you'll see that there's some stuff to work with. Obviously, he finished the season the last 2 games where he was completely horrendous. Individually, like I know that the Alabama offense was a mess, but a large part because of him in those last 2 games, he was terrible. And it's like, oh, he was banged up. It's like, yeah, that doesn't make me feel great though that he was injured. you know. Are we going to do a Ty Simpson film review at this point in the channel? No, for a couple reasons. One, in terms of like quarterback play, I'm probably going to say like the wrong stuff. And I don't have the verbiage. I don't have enough like scouting acumen to do a film breakdown. I could watch some film and say, hey, I like this guy. This guy's fast. This guy's slow. I don't like the cut of this guy's jib. This guy moves different. Right? I don't know if I could break down quarterback film. Number 1. And number 2, I'm very paranoid of copywriting. I know everyone does it. Everyone does it. But every now and then, YouTube likes to make an example out of people and swat them down for copyright. So I'll probably honestly never post film on this channel, to be honest. Mhm. But I'm sure there's ones you could check out. I think Joe Blewett did one. Ty Simpson has a live arm. Hell yeah. Simpson has a good blend of arm strength and arm talent. Thank you, Chat GPT, Dylan Turman. What's his physical stats? Like his measurements? We'll get better ones at the combine. Let's see what he's listed at 6'2", 210. That is a bit on the smaller end. It's not egregious. Particularly the weight. You like a quarterback to be like like 6'4", 225 is what you kind of would like. Let's see what percentile that is. Yeah, so his weight is in the 11th percentile. That's not ideal. His height is in the 39th percentile. That's not that bad. I think that's why people say, "Oh, he reminds me of Zach Wilson," because he's a white guy who looks young, clean shaven, and has the same build. Because in terms of how they are as prospects, I don't know how you could I don't know how anyone can come to the conclusion that Ty Simpson and Zach Wilson are similar, but they're both white guys who look like they're 16 and have a slight build. If Moore declares, then where does Simpson get selected? I have no idea. I think Dante Moore would get drafted before Simpson because he's 3 years younger than him, and he's a little bigger. But I think they would both go in the first round. Thank you, Chris BC, Jeff fan. Appreciate it, man. He's definitely the second QB off the board. Yeah, I would be very shocked if Simpson wasn't the second QB off the board, unless there's something like weird with his medicals or something strange happens. Won't make it to 15 though. It's so hard to say. It's so hard to say. I think the Jets. I don't know. I think the Jets. I think the Rams at 13 is kind of where his range starts. I really don't think the Browns are going to take him with a top 5 pick. I think the Rams at 13 is kind of where his range starts, and then the Jets at 33 is probably his floor. So somewhere there and there, I think he'll go. But we've seen crazy things. I mean, Malik Willis was a consensus first round pick, and he was on some sites a week before the draft. He was the betting favorite to be like the number 2 pick, Malik Willis, and he was the third round pick. So we'll see. This definitely is not the best quarterback class. That's for sure. Yeah, Nuss is again. He's a very. I could see the parallels to Shuck, but Shuck was 6'5" and a better athlete with a stronger arm and big ass hands. So yeah, I think Nuss is a backup like bridge kind of guy, and that's great. He'll again, you can make a lot of money doing that, but drafting that in the second round, I don't know about that. Medium black from Tim Hortons, Dom C. Hell yeah. Yeah, like I said, you go to Tim Hortons, man. and you are on the clock. You better be prepared, have your order ready, your stuff together. Like they do not tolerate any slack, man. At Tim Hortons, especially the one I go to. This is the same lady every day, and she is not messing around. You have your payment method ready. She's got the coffee. It's in your face. Got ready to go. Dunkin' Donuts, which I do think has better coffee. Um, but no one works there. Like you have to go in and make it yourself and like open up, and then you have to do like half a shift and you leave and they still make you pay for the coffee. So for that reason, I go with Tim Hortons. Starbucks to me is the worst, and because I drink my coffee black, which is kind of even more insane to pay for black coffee at like 5 times the markup. It's kind of insane, but I do it. But so I have a very fine-tuned palate because you're putting like a bunch of crap and sugar, whatever, and you don't even know what the coffee tastes like. But I know what the coffee tastes like. In Starbucks coffee, I know coffee is a bean, so it is like of the earth, but Starbucks coffee just tastes like someone boiled water in like potting soil. And they were angry while they did it. Like you could taste that they resent you in the coffee. Um, like they have a class-based resentment towards you, but it's like I'm also not rich, but it's like you're the reason that they're working at Starbucks. That's how their coffee tastes. Anyway, but yeah, man, Vega at 16, dude. Hell yeah. Well, who cares? I, I would take Vega at 16. Why not? I think he's gonna be better than the receivers that are gonna be there. And the Jets need a million things. Like we have to have this position. If we don't take this position, it's crazy. This position would be nuts. Like the Jets need a million players. They're not gonna make the playoffs next year, regardless, probably. So just start stacking the talent as it comes to you. Vega at 16 would be a smash for me. I even liked your idea, Dom, that you put in the group chat. Now it wouldn't be my preference, but I could get down with it. I think what you say, take the best receiver at 2 and then take Vega at 16. And then you completely dummy proof the offensive personnel for the quarterback that you draft next year. And then you could take the other 9 draft picks you have this year and throw them all on defense. Here you go, Aaron Glenn. Maybe you take a center as well and like a random tight end, and you have whatever 7 draft picks on defense this year. Have them all make the team, and then they can duke it out with the Malachi Moores and A.G. Thomases and Kiko Mawagoas and Tyler Barons. So your 4 or 5 defensive rookies from last year plus 7 more, 12 of them. And then by 2027, whittle it down to who can freaking play. What's wrong with that? I don't have a problem with that. I don't really care the order in which things get fixed on a team that's not going to be a playoff team next year, regardless. I mean, unless you do, like I don't know. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs next year. It's tough in the AFC, man. Those wild card teams were 11-win teams. Can the Jets? It's at least going to take 10. So can they get to 10 wins? I mean, I think 7 or 8 would be a massive improvement. So I'm not really sweating the order of which they plug. To me, I'm looking at all the resources they have between this year and next year, and it's all collective to me. It's like one big draft. So if they take a guard at 16 this year instead of a guard with the Packers or Cowboys pick rather next year, it makes no difference to me. Just start stacking the talent as it comes to you. No, I don't know Dutch Brothers. I don't know. I don't think we have that. Is that everyone says that though? Like when you're like, which coffee is the best? It's like Dutch Bros. Okay. Dutch Bros near me. There's definitely not one anywhere near me. Let's see which the closest one is. Morrisville Parkway. That's in North Carolina. The internet is dumb. The internet is getting dumber. You know this? But you guys have it in like, do you guys have it in like Jersey or New York City or Long Island? Is it in New York? All right, I'm sorry guys. I have to find the nearest Dutch Bros towards me. This is why I'll never have like the highest viewed Jets channel. Because I make my title "Get Ready to Learn Ty Simpson," and I spend 10 minutes talking about coffee. Uh, okay, here we go. Yep, that's where I live. Now, where's the closest one? So I don't think this company exists because it's telling me, okay, here we go. Got it. The closest one to me is in Dayton, Ohio. I go to Ohio. I might, I might be able to check out a Dutch Bros. I find myself in Ohio from time to time for random reasons. I like the Midwesty Appalachian area states. Done the drive to from Buffalo to Nashville a couple times, and it's not a bad drive at all. It's like 10 hours. And you go right down the lake to like Cleveland, and then you go through like Cincinnati, Louisville. School drive. Those flyover states, respect them. Besides Kentucky, Kentucky was horrendous. Yeah. It's like, you have this picture of Kentucky in your mind. That's like kind of a negative picture. And you're like, you know what? I bet when we get there, it's going to be, like way better, really nice and beautiful. And you get there and you're like, oh, it's fucking Kentucky. Like, yes. Yeah. That's okay. The haters were right. The haters were correct about Kentucky. But hey, man, someone's got to live there. Someone's got to do it. South Carolina. Yeah, even North Carolina is not as bad of a ride, but there's more opportunities for trafficy situations. I think what is it? Either Baltimore or near DC, maybe. I think near DC. Um, yeah, but I've done that drive a bunch of times too because I have family in Greenville, like the Outer Banks used to be a vacation spot. So I don't mind. I don't mind road trips. I hate flying. I hate flying. So I'll drive 8-10 hours. I don't really care. Flying's terrible. Get Pavia and Kyler. Yes. Get some short kings. Watch Simpson against Georgia the second time. Yeah, yeah. Obviously horrible. And then what was it? The other one was Oklahoma, right? I believe the last two games of the season. Yeah, he was horrible. There's no denying it. And that's why I think the talk of him being, picked as like a top 10 pick kind of cooled off, right? Yeah, I see. I think Dutch Bros is definitely clearly a money laundering operation. It's like the Los Pollos restaurant in Breaking Bad. This 100% what Dutch Bros is. So you not pulling a fast one on me. I'll support it if the coffee is good. I will. I'll patron it. I don't care. But it's definitely a cartel front for sure. Jets can get core culture defensive players in free agency. Yeah, well, our culture is pretty trash according to Harrison Phillips. Harrison Phillips was made um a couple of like Jet Media interviews. I think Richie from Jets Media talked to him. He had a really good interview with Jake Gasman, and he pretty much just said like what we all know, but that how the Jets culture is basically one of we don't think we're going to win, so the guys don't really buy into a team mission. So everyone is really quick to blame and just say screw it. I'm going to go out for myself. I'm going to try and get my own stats, make sure my tape is good, and that's how their culture is. And he was like, when rookies see vets playing like that, practicing like that, that's how. So he, it seemed like a culture shock to him coming from Minnesota and seeing like, oh my gosh, like this is how these players are used to operating. And of course, he's not going to come out and say my current head coach is trash, but the implication was that Aaron Glenn is trying to clean up a disaster of a culture that was left over from a lot of the Sala holdovers and Sala from before that and Gase and even like I mean it's been since Rex Ryan since we had any kind of culture because even under Bowles like they got that shot in the arm in that one year they did pretty good but I don't know if Bowles ever really established a culture, right? Last guy that established the culture was Rex. Now it's a chicken or the egg thing because it's like you have to get culture to win, you have to win to get a culture. I don't know, man. I think the winning to some extent and some competence and some stability at the quarterback position and some schematic advantages from your coaching staff, I think that has to come first to some extent. You can't just straight culture your way to wins. I don't know. Although the Steelers kind of seem to do that though. So I don't know. I don't know. But the Steelers obviously, from a total roster perspective, still pretty talented even when their quarterback play isn't bad. Yeah, if you win, you get culture. I'm inclined to believe that is the order of operations. I would agree with you. Dutch Bros is great. Get some class, you heathens. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try some of this coffee. There's no way around it. It amazes me when I meet someone who doesn't drink coffee. And I think that's good. Like it's probably not good that like within an hour of being awake, I have to have a substance. That's an addiction. I'm 100% addicted to coffee or just at least caffeine. But yeah, there was the one time we were snowed in and we were out of coffee and it was like 10:15 and I'm just like like shaking. So, probably not good. But and even I could drink a cup of coffee right now and I could go to bed in like an hour and a half. It doesn't even my body just treats it like water at this point. Oh my goodness. Is this serious? Former Jet. Derek Darren Lee has been charged with murder, with first degree murder of his girlfriend. Good lord. Yeah, yeah. It seems like that's legit. That Darren Lee has been charged with. Yeah, this is new. Yeah, for me, coffee is just caffeine. Taste does nothing for me. You're just degrading. Like coffee, you are nothing to me. You're just merely a means to an end. I like that show. I'm sure it's still on, but for a minute I was watching comedians in cars getting coffee, and I just like when they would go to the shops and they would show like the fancy little machines making the swirly coffee is like very aesthetically pleasing. Sucked that we tanked for Peter Woods and he's not even a top 10 pick anymore. Yeah, you could take Peter Woods at 16. Um, I mean, I'm guessing they tanked for to try and get Mendoza. I don't know. Or maybe they just I don't know what their plan was. They were trying to get a higher draft pick. I still people were still trying to say that they weren't tanking and that it was an excuse. It's like, dude, we all know they stunk when they were trying to win, but they were playing Brady Cook and and guys who were like off the like six practice squad defenders against the Bills. They were not trying to win. They would have lost anyway, but they were making sure there would be no, no doubt. ABT or Simpson or both. I don't think they're gonna just pay both. Um, I think they will bring back ABT because I think that they are just I don't think they care about the floor as much with his injuries relative to Simpson's penalties. I think they think he could be an elite talent. I'm under no like delusion anymore that ABT is going to be able to be a long-term a piece of an offensive line. But if they want to take that shot over Simpson, it's not like Simpson's that great, sure. Or neither. Neither is fine too. But they probably won't be able to pay both. Yeah, Peter Woods is good, man. Peter Woods is he honestly is very similar to Mason Graham to me. I think Mason Graham was overrated, so I'm not saying Peter Woods should be a top 5 pick. But very like explosive first step, really, really good run defender. Um, another guy with kind of short arms. At least he looks like he has short arms. He looks like he has shorter arms on film. I don't know what his measurements are. And doesn't have a lot of counters in terms of pass rush moves, but he could be a good run defender right away and line up all across your whether you want him to do. I think he could even do some straight nose work for you as a in a 3-4. Like he's got that kind of power profile, but probably best to be a 3 tech in a 4-3. Um, and be a guy who could eventually chip in 5 or 6 stacks from the interior and be a really good run defender and just be disruptive. Yeah, Peter Woods is nice, and he had him and TJ Parker had really awesome seasons previously at Clemson, and both took a bit of a dip this year, and they're both really young. So I think maybe you could buy low on both of those guys. I do like Woods better than Parker. You know, next Quinnen, I don't think he's as um Quinnen was unbelievable. Keep John Simpson, draft a long-term guard. Yeah, I think that's the solution is you banded up that spot one for this year and then draft a guard in round 4 or whatever that could hopefully be a starter for you next year. Right? That'd be a good plan. Do you think Sellers would still be a top 5 pick if he would have went to the draft this year? I don't think so. And I think if he thought he would be in the draft. Although Dante Moore would have been taken high and he went back to school, so who knows? Sellers, I was hoping he would have hit the portal because he's a player that I would have really liked to see in a different offense because he's got really nice tools. But the taking of the sacks to me is that's a tough one. That long ass time to throw is a tough one. Would love Tate at 2 and trade up for Lemon. Well, that would be insane. That would be insane to get because one of those guys has to be your third receiver. So is it Garrett who's making 30 million or is it one of your top 10 picks? Um, so one of those two things. You want to take Tate at 2? That's cool. Lemon is my favorite receiver, but I won't hold it against you if you want to take Tate at 2, or if you want to take the best defensive player at 2 and then trade up for Lemon. ABT is Jets Mitchell Robinson. Yeah, that's fair. Sign Romeo Dobbs in free agency. Yeah, Dobbs would be great because he's a really good wide receiver too. Dobbs would be really solid. Just need to acquire more picks. Their best bet to do that is to trade back from 33. Pick 33 is the most traded pick in the history of the NFL draft. Pick number 2, I just kind of stopped responding to people who say they just need to trade back from pick number 2. It's like, yeah, no crap, but who's coming up and for who? It's like pick 2, disgusting. None of these guys are worth it. Hey, you, give me a second and a fifth for the right to take this bum I don't even want. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. Am I alone in thinking G5, AD, and Mechie are better than a decent 1, 2, 3? So Mechie, I think Mechie is the kind of player, to be honest, that it should be competing to be on the team. Um, Mitchell, AD Mitchell has a ton of talent. There's something there. Now there's a lot of he could be one of those guys where it's like, oh man, he just never figured it out. But there's something to AD Mitchell. And it's not like a Denzel Mims where you're just waiting for him to do anything. Like he's had at least some games where he's done the thing where he's produced something. Like how many games was he on the Jets this year? Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games on the Jets. And he had 300 yards and 2 touchdowns with no QB. So he was on pace for his Jets games. He was on pace for a little bit over 600 yards and 5 touchdowns. I mean, that's definitely good enough to be wide receiver 3. Like AD Mitchell to me could be a starting receiver in this league. He's still 23. So that's why when it comes to receiver, that's why I kind of like the idea of coming up and just getting a bona fide like stud receiver to pair with Garrett, and then Mitchell is your 3, and then that's like that's all like it was the vast majority of your passing volume. Who's the number 4? Who cares? If Garrett or Lemon have to miss time, you feel like one of the other could step in as wide receiver 1, and AD Mitchell can moonlight as a wide receiver 2 for a bit. Because I'm looking at a lot of the receivers that I think could be taken at 16 and 44, or I'm sorry, at 33 and 44 particularly. And I don't know how many of them I think are better than AD Mitchell. To be honest, like I don't know like let's look at some of these names here. Because obviously they just need another receiver, right? No one's denying that. They need another receiver, of course. But is Denzel Boston to me different skill set? Is Denzel Boston better than AD Mitchell? Like I think that would be close. That's the line. That's the line where I think that's like a push. I like Casey Conception. I don't think he's better. Chris Bell, 20, like Jeremy Bernard, Omar Cooper Jr. I'm really high on. Elijah Surratt, like Chris Brazel, Skylar, like, it was these guys like Zachariah Branch and Deion Burks. Was like slot only. So are you going to take a receiver in round 2 who is going to end up being your wide receiver 3? Now, at the end of the day, maybe that's not the end of the world. I guess if you take a receiver at 44 as your wide receiver 3, that's still a starter because you're in 12 personnel or 11 personnel most of the time. So that's probably fine. But there's a chance they could take a receiver at 16 who's not better than AD Mitchell. And that's more of a referendum on the draft class than AD Mitchell being great. In Denzel Boston being slept on, I think Denzel Boston is he's a between 16 and 33 kind of guy. I think he'll go somewhere in between those 2 Jets picks. I think he could be a more than capable wide receiver too. Who cares who our receivers are if we have Cousins starting at quarterback? Well, who cares what any position is if we don't have a good quarterback, right? Because it limits what you can do. I don't but they're going to draft a quarterback either this year or next year, right? So it's going to right the rookie quarterback needs receivers. There's going to be one this year or next year. Malachi Fields, I have not looked into at all. I've heard his name. I've seen his scouting reports around. I know he was at the Senior Bowl. I think he did some things. He is one. Actually, do I have him in my film batch here. I don't know if I saw his name. Let's check. Prospect cut-ups. He is in here. Notre Dame. Okay. One game. Well, I hope he was really good against Pittsburgh. I only got one game of Malachi Fields. What a brutal name, though. Malachi Fields for Jet fans. Oh, my gosh. That's a tough one. But leave it there. Appreciate you guys hanging out. If you want to hit the thumbs up on your way out, that would be cool. And we will talk. Ball soon.